the revolution we're missing, how Black women entrepreneurs are redefining success beyond individual gain. Good morning. I want to begin today by acknowledging the extraordinary visionary whose insights form the foundation of this talk, Shanqueena Harris. If you haven't heard her name yet, remember it now because she's quietly orchestrating one of the most profound economic and social revolutions of our time. Shanqueena isn't just building businesses, she's reconstructing the very architecture of opportunity in America. Her work transcends traditional metrics of success, challenging us to reimagine what true progress looks like in a society that desperately needs new models of advancement. What I'm about to share will likely challenge everything you think you know about entrepreneurship, success, and how real change happens in America. We've all been fed the same narrative about business success, haven't we? The lone visionary working late nights in a garage, the brilliant individual who, through exceptional talent and relentless hustle, builds something extraordinary, the self made billionaire who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. It's a compelling story. It's also dangerously incomplete. What if I told you that right now, beneath the headlines celebrating tech unicorns and billionaire space races, a completely different model of entrepreneurship is taking root and flourishing? What if the most revolutionary business movement in America today isn't about individual achievement at all? Here's what Shanqueena Harris revealed that stopped me in my tracks. Black women are currently driving a massive surge in entrepreneurship across America, accounting for an astonishing 89% of net new women owned firms daily. But their motivation extends far beyond personal ambition or individual success. Instead, these entrepreneurs are focused on building entire ecosystems and infrastructure for collective advancement. They're not just climbing ladders, they're constructing elevators and making sure everyone has access to them. This represents a profound shift in how we conceptualize progress, moving from a model centered on individual achievement to one focused on creating networks that uplift entire communities. And it's not just happening in isolated pockets, it's transforming the very landscape of American business. Let me share some numbers that might shock you. According to data from the WEN conference in New Orleans, Black women owned businesses have seen their average revenues rise by over 32% in recent years, significantly outpacing the overall market. This isn't just impressive growth, it's a fundamental restructuring of who drives economic development in America. Think about that for a moment. The demographic group that has historically faced the most significant barriers to capital, mentorship, and opportunity is now leading the charge in business creation and growth. This isn't just beating the odds, it's changing the game entirely. I want to take you to New Orleans for a moment, to the WEN's 2025 conference, a city that knows something about resilience and rebirth. Black women entrepreneurs gathered there as part of a movement that has seen their average business revenues climb by 32.7%. These leaders represent an ecosystem where community impact trumps individual gain. The challenges they face remain substantial. Persistent disparities in loan approvals. Women receive only 45% approval compared to men's 55%. And higher denial rates make scaling difficult. But their response hasn't been to simply work harder within a broken system. Instead, they're focused on collective strategy building through conferences specifically designed to create systemic change. They're leveraging peer mentorships and advocating for policy shifts that benefit not just themselves, but all women entrepreneurs. The outcomes speak volumes. Notable revenue growth among Black woman owned businesses, increased visibility, and expanded access to capital through shared resources. What makes this story even more remarkable is the context. Black women now account for most net new female led firms daily, despite being only 39% of America's female population, a testament to determination amid adversity. They're surpassing market averages in both firm creation and revenue growth. But perhaps most importantly, they're redefining what entrepreneurial success looks like by centering community uplift alongside profit. This isn't just a feel good story, it's a fundamental reimagining of capitalism itself. Let's look at another powerful example that emerged from Shanqueena's research. A nationwide study found that fewer than 10% of US entrepreneurs are Black, and they start new businesses at a rate nearly one fourth lower than their white counterparts, due largely to financing gaps. The venture capital landscape is even bleaker, with only about 2.4% of VC backed startups run by Black or Hispanic entrepreneurs. Historical exclusion from traditional finance channels has forced many aspiring founders into bootstrapping or seeking alternative routes like crowdfunding or cooperative models. Yet, despite these challenges, female founded venture backed startups have achieved a notably high exit rate of 19.4%, proving their resilience when given proper support structures, even if overall representation remains low. We're seeing a gradual narrowing of gender and race gaps, thanks largely to grassroots organizing within these communities rather than external intervention alone. The research spotlights both persistent hurdles and powerful momentum toward parity. What's particularly striking is how women entrepreneurs are reshaping diverse industries across the board. Women led startups now outpace male counterparts across several metrics, including ROI, in sectors spanning technology, wellness, education, social impact, and more, reflecting broader societal shifts toward inclusion. Despite facing stereotypes around leadership ability, lack of role models at senior levels, and slow institutional change limiting upward mobility, these entrepreneurs have found innovative solutions. Many have leveraged digital tools and social media platforms to achieve rapid scaling without heavy reliance on traditional gatekeepers, creating visibility that inspires others. The number of women owned businesses nearly doubled versus men between 2019 and 2023, with especially strong gains among diverse teams known for greater creativity and innovation, due partly to lived experiences unique among minority founders. Many started with limited resources, but leveraged online education and networks during pandemic disruptions as catalysts for growth. They've doubled startup activity since the early 2000s and are inspiring next generation leaders who see themselves reflected at every stage, from ideation through IPO or acquisition. Now, I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. When we talk about these statistics and trends, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeing them merely as interesting data points. But these numbers represent real people, real struggles, real triumphs. They represent women who have often been told no repeatedly but refuse to accept that answer. Women who have had to work twice as hard for half the recognition. Women who have faced both subtle bias and overt discrimination. And yet, as Shanqueena emphasized in our conversation, the story isn't about victimhood, it's about vision. These entrepreneurs aren't just building businesses, they're building legacies. They're not just creating products, they're creating possibilities. They're not just serving markets, they're serving missions. This brings me to what I believe is the most profound insight from Shanqueena Harris: the traditional metrics of success in business, profit margins, market share, year over year growth, while important, are woefully inadequate for measuring the true impact of these entrepreneurs. How do you quantify the value of a Black woman entrepreneur who creates a business that employs other women from her community? How do you measure the impact of a founder who mentors 20 young women, five of whom go on to start their own ventures? How did you calculate the worth of creating spaces where people who have been historically excluded can find belonging, purpose, and opportunity? The answer is that our conventional metrics simply can't capture this kind of value. We need new ways of understanding success that honor the full spectrum of impact these entrepreneurs are creating. As Shanquina puts it, with a warmth, unapologetic honesty that characterizes her approach, we're not just playing the game differently, we're changing the rules entirely. Her approach combines deep empathy, never judging because I know life gets messy, with bold encouragement. Let's play our hands fiercely. The goal is always empowerment rooted deeply in authenticity, to remind every person they have permission not just to bounce back, but also to lead boldly forward together. This is where the true revolution lies. It's not just about more Black women becoming entrepreneurs, though that's certainly important. It's about fundamentally reimagining what entrepreneurship is for. Is business merely a vehicle for individual wealth creation? Or can it be, should it be, a powerful force for collective liberation? The entrepreneurs Shanquina works with are answering this question decisively. They're building businesses that serve as bridges, not barriers. They're creating wealth that flows through communities, not away from them. They're designing models that prioritize sustainability over exploitation, collaboration over competition. And in doing so, they're not just succeeding within the system, they're transforming it. So here's my challenge to you today: stop thinking about success as something you achieve, start thinking about it as something you advance. Ask yourself, how am I using my position, my privilege, my platform to create opportunities for others? How am I ensuring that my success doesn't end with me, but extends to my community? How am I building systems that will outlast my individual contribution? The revolution that Shanquina Harris has identified isn't just changing how Black women do business, it's offering all of us a more powerful, more sustainable, more humane model of progress. One where we measure our worth not by how high we climb individually, but by how many we bring with us. The future isn't just about building better companies, it's about building a better world. And that future is already emerging, led by those who have historically been marginalized but are now moving to the center, bringing with them new visions, new values, and new possibilities. The question isn't whether you'll join this revolution. The question is, how will you help lead it? Thank you.